We're going to start officially in approximately 2 to 3 minutes, just in case there's anybody running a minute or two behind. All right, we're going to go ahead and get today's presser started. My name is Justin Bamberg. I'm an attorney with Bamberg Legal, and I'm here with Mr. Jethro DeVayne. And today won't be long. We're going to make this relatively brief, but we're here today in follow-up to a lawsuit that we filed on yesterday. It's just a travesty. You know, I've gone through emotions of you know, feeling terribly sorry for Mr. DeVayne for what happened, to feeling extremely angry about what happened. But what we're going to do to kickstart it, I'm gonna play some body cam video of this incident in which Mr. DeVayne was treated less than human. He was pulled out of his house at 70 years old, completely naked, held at gunpoint. And wasn't even treated with any ounce of decency. So we're going to play that video, and I apologize in advance. There is some very disturbing language, as well as some blurred nudity. So let's go ahead and play that.
Shut that door. Get out. Come out of the house. Come into the house. Face the house. Come into the house. Who else is in here? Just you?
My truck outside.
Face. I don't want to talk to you. Face the house right now. How long have you been living here?
Since my house got burned on Crawford Road.
Okay. Once these officers are finished clearing the house, they should explain to you what we got going on. Is it clear? All right.
All the boys on this morning.
Okay. So we're looking for this house. All right. The reason we did that was because we got a group of 4 juveniles, what we think 4 males, running around trying to break into cars.
No fucking over there.
Where? That house right there?
Ain't going on, they done.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
My name is DeVane. What you need to do is see that car, that little car right there. Look in the car. If you want to search by in the car. They the ones that got all.
Okay. You're good to go inside. Thanks, sir. Sorry about that. What's my name? Officer Matasana. All right, then. Thank you. Hey, we got a guy right here. Let me see your hand. Let me see your hands. I don't care if it's private property. You think I care? All right, just pointing my gun at him. Yeah, probably so.
What are we doing? What are we doing? This is disgusting conduct, right? The backstory, why are the officers even running around this neighborhood like some vigilante justice police officers? Okay. A citizen called the police. This is about 4 o'clock in the morning. A citizen called the police and told them that I saw some kids by my car. The police get there. This individual apparently left their car door unlocked. Nothing was stolen. Nobody was hurt. There was no assault, no battery, no armed robbery, no murder. And the Rock Hill Police Department officers begin just walking around the neighborhood. They weren't in hot pursuit of anybody. They had no idea where these kids were. And they're just walking through people's yards. They're cutting across people's property. Mr. DeVayne is in his room laying down and awakens to a flashlight shining through his bedroom window. So like any one of us would do, Mr. DeVayne gets up, he goes to his back door and looks out, trying to see who the heck is running around his property at 4 in the morning. As he looks out, he sees someone jump a fence separating his house from the house behind his. And then there is a flashlight just running towards the house. That is what you just watched. And instantaneously, Officer Metasano pulls his pistol out and begins to cuss this gentleman. Startled, he steps back to close his door, and he's cussed at even more. And then he is pulled out of his house at 71 years old, completely naked. The officer did not even know his name. What are we doing? And at what point are departments, including the City of Rock Hill Police Department, going to sit down and say, we need to get our stuff together? We've seen this happen in Chicago, where a lady was just bombarded by law enforcement, completely naked in the privacy of her own home, and she was innocent. Mr. Jethro DeVayne is clearly not a teenager. He reminds me very much of my late grandfather. And my grandfather did not go serve 2 tours in Vietnam to defend a country and a constitution that the City of Rock Hill Police Department can just trample all over. As you heard Officer Metasano say, I don't care if this is private property. Do you think I care? And then they laugh about pointing a gun in people's face. Why is this guy still working for the City of Rock Hill? Why is it that the Rock Hill Police Department and other agencies like it don't ever want to do anything to address a problem until either somebody gets killed or until somebody has to hire a lawyer to stand up and fight for them. This is absolutely ridiculous. Mr. DeVayne, afterwards, right, naked and afraid, at his own house, on private property, naked and afraid, goes to the Rock Hill Police Department, files his own complaint, requests copy of the video, and the city of Rock Hill didn't even want to give him the video because it had nudity on it. And this is the official copy we received, and it's blurred out. So before the city of Rock Hill or any of these police officers, these public servants, want to say this isn't a big deal, it's such a big deal to take someone out of their home completely naked that when you gave the video to this gentleman, you blur it out. That's how big of a deal it is. Mr. DeVayne files a complaint, and the city of Rock Hill, their conclusion is that the officers were discourteous, but that everything else they did was proper and they were officially exonerated. We have the city of Rock Hill search and seizure policies. There isn't a single thing in this policy that would authorize these officers to conduct a warrantless search of Mr. DeVayne's home. The Constitution in America only means something if government respects it. The policies were not followed. And if the policy, as the chief says, authorizes this type of conduct, then there is apparently a problem in the city of Rock Hill Police Department where the Constitution doesn't mean anything to them. For those who don't know, the Carolina Panthers, the professional NFL team for South Carolina and North Carolina, they just relocated their headquarters to this place. Welcome to Rock Hill. Is this how we want our law enforcement officers policing neighborhoods? No, it's not. The problem is that in the city of Rock Hill, they don't police every neighborhood like this. You would never in your life see Officer Metasano or any of the officers on scene that night go police Congressman Ralph Norman's neighborhood this way. But if you live in an area that's lower income or working class, apparently your rights don't matter as much as some people's. Unbeknownst to the city of Rock Hill, Mr. DeVayne owns at least 10 properties in Rock Hill. He owns at least 10 properties in the city of Rock Hill. They had no idea who they were doing this to, and they did not care. And it stops now. And what we're doing is we are demanding, we're demanding that they make right and do right by Mr. DeVayne for what they put him through that night. I cannot imagine how terrifying it is to be pulled out of your house completely naked, completely afraid, outside with officers in your backyard cussing you and pointing guns at you. They need to do right by Mr. DeVayne. We're asking that the mayor of the city of Rock Hill issue a formal apology to this gentleman for what happened and commit to never allowing this to happen again. We're demanding that the city of Rock Hill look at their policies. Every single officer who was on scene and every single officer in that department obviously needs to be retrained on proper searches and seizures and human decency. This is ridiculous, guys. This is absolutely ridiculous. At this point, I want Mr. DeVayne to come up here so you can hear from him firsthand how he felt that night. Mr. DeVayne.
Thank you, sir. My name is Jethro William DeVayne. That particular night, I woke up to a nightmare. I was in my bed, sleeping, while I had worked all day. I noticed the room lit up and it just lit completely up. As I woke up to a light, and I rolled over and I looked. There was a light shining in my window. When I looked, the light was real bright. I staggered out the bed, around to the side. As I staggered around to the side, I walked to the back door. I cracked the door just a little. And when I cracked the door, I didn't see the officer on the right. But on the next street, I could see him running from side to side. What was he doing? I didn't know. I looked. I saw him coming towards me. He had his weapon drawn. He jumped the fence. I have a fence in the backyard. He jumped the fence and fell. He got up with his gun, I'm presuming loaded, pointed at me. As I walked to the door, I was still trying to figure out, well, hey, what's going on here? As he approached me, he had his gun drawn. He said, come out. Hey, I did what the man said. I mean, you know, he's got the weapon. I don't. He could have took my life in a minute. And he put the gun on my shoulder. And I heard the trigger when he pulled it back. And it clicked. I knew I was gone. I knew my life was gone. And I had to defuse this situation. And I was there. I didn't know what to do. You'd have to be in that situation. A lot of people say they would have did this and did that. They would have slammed the door and you would not have been here. I tried to talk as nice as I could to this gentleman. He didn't want to hear it. And it was a lady with him. And she came up. I did not see the lady on the side. As I was standing there, I sleep with no clothes on. I didn't have my clothes on that night. Why? I'm in my house. The chief of police said I should not sleep naked. Why? He said, you never know when you might be going to the hospital. Well, like I told him, if you would have let me know you was coming, I'd have put my clothes on. I'd have been sitting there dressed and ready to go. But he didn't tell me. Now, as he had the gun pointed to my head and he pulled, I could hear it. Felt like it was going off, but it didn't go off. The chief of police, they picked me up the next day. Him and Major Boylan. I think I'm pronouncing that word right. Mike Bollinger. They picked me up the next day. He said, I got something to tell you. He was just playing with you. Playing with me? Yeah, he's playing with you. He was not going to shoot you. You took the wrong opinion. I ain't never grew up with this guy. I don't even know him. Never seen him before in my life. How can I sit here and say he's not going to blow my brains out? And no one was laughing. As he told me that, he said, now I'm going to tell you straight up right now. You were in your house and they were looking for the boy that was breaking in car. I don't know nothing about that. That don't have nothing to do with me. I was asleep. Now, while I'm standing there, this white young lady, police officer, she was looking at me up and down. I don't have no clothes on. And she just standing there just looking at me up and down. And I'm just standing there. And I didn't give no smart remark because see, I knew I was in danger. All I had to do was say something smart and he'd blow my brains out. You got to remember, 6 of them, 1 of me. They could easily tell a good story on me and I'd be gone.
All right, so at this point in time, I'm not sure if anybody watching has any questions or anything like that, we're happy to take some. You have to just make sure you unmute, and we're happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Hey, Justin, it's
Yeah.
Jeffrey Collins with the Associated Press. I wanted to ask DeVayne how he felt at that moment in time when he's standing out there. I know he was scared for his life, but mentally, I mean, were you embarrassed? Were you just trying to save yourself? I mean, how did you feel during that 90 seconds that all was going on?
I was trying my best to think about my life. I was thinking about what my father worked to accomplish for me, to control and to have. And all this was going to be taken away. I thought about, most of all, if I left this world, what's going to happen to me? Where am I going? It's something to think about. You'd have to have it done to you, and then you know definitely your life is gone. So the chief said, I like you. You did not say nothing bad. If I put a 38 to your head, you ain't gonna say nothing bad neither. If you got good sense, because he's getting ready to blow your brains out. He could accidentally sneeze and blow your brains out, okay? So you can't really tell at night. I still think about it. Even a minute ago when he showed that video, it brought back a lot of thought, a lot of remembrance. And I probably, from the way it looked, I won't get over it the rest of my life, because it's like this. It didn't happen to you.
Thank you, Mr. DeVayne.
Yes, I have a question. I'm Renee with CN2 News in Rock Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you, I know you talked about what you guys want to see done, you know, a formal apology, but Mr. DeVayne, can you just say what you would like to be seen done after this from the police, from the city?
What I'd like to see more than anything else, they'll train more properly on how to search and seize it and go back to the law. If you notice, he said he didn't care. He said, I don't care about your rights. You ain't got no rights as far as my concern. They need, when they came up, here's a $33,000 international GMC truck. They didn't even notice the truck. It was just sitting right there in front of them. And they were just laughing and enjoying themselves. You think it was a Rodney King or some type of party they was having. And the ignorancy of the whole thing is they just don't care. I wouldn't be laughing if that gentleman was doing the laughing. Let's put the gun to his head and let me hold it and put it to his head and see will he be laughing. It ain't funny. It's not funny at all.
And that's one of the biggest problems with this situation, is the degree of not caring when you are a police officer about people in general, but particularly innocent people. Again, Mr. DeVayne was over 70 years old, 70 years old, right? And I think about all those people who live in Rock Hill, who follow the law, who commit to doing the right thing, who literally just want to live out this the American dream, right? That's what this country is about. And to know that not just that there are officers running around Rock Hill who don't care at all about constitutional rights to citizens' property. They don't care about constitutional rights, that people have the ability to be free from unreasonable intrusion into their home by the government. But the fact that even the chief of police could review everything that we watched. He could review the fact that you don't see these officers chasing anybody. You don't see anybody on the camera. You don't see them in hot pursuit of anybody. There are no shots fired. There are nothing. These folks are roaming, terrorizing this lower class neighborhood. And then they get cleared of it. Why do we have to be here advocating for human decency and human dignity? Like, this is, it is ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous, and it's unacceptable, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop before there is a death. God forbid, if Mr. DeVayne had panicked, like a lot of people would, and tried to close that door, he probably would not be standing here today. I live in the country. When people answer their doors at 3 or 4 in the morning, they're usually armed. God forbid if Mr. DeVayne had exercised his constitutional right to bear arms and went to his door with a handgun or a long gun, he would not be here today. And that is one of the reasons why it is so important for law enforcement to follow the law. And if you want to go in someone's house, you better dang sure make well that you follow policy, that there's a constitutional reason to do it, or go get a search warrant. Call the judge at 4 a.m. and tell them, I think some kids ran into this house and I want to go inside.
And when did you,
I might add that if the 6 of them want to make, they could have put one on each corner, held their position, one go get the warrant, one come back. They had enough time. I wasn't going nowhere. I didn't have no clothes on. They had me stopped. So where am I going? Nowhere. So they had enough people to control the situation. It wasn't no riot or nothing. Now, the chief said they have 2 types of search. They have a medium search and they have a heavy duty search. He said they went in the house when they were searching and they looked through my drawer. I said, they did? He said, yeah. They looked all through your drawer. They went through the bed. They went through the cabinet. Okay. Well, I got a question. The question then, there wasn't no drawers in there. There wasn't no beds in there. There wasn't nothing in there because I don't use it to live in. The next thing, the police officer went down to these other residents and they searched all in the backyard. They were looking back there. I said, so why are you in my backyard back there in them people's yard? Well, I'm looking for the criminal. Oh, okay. Did you ask for permission? Yeah, they give me permission. Well, I hate to tell you something. I know he was telling a lie on that, and I'll tell him that to his face. He was lying. Because I own them 2 houses. So if I don't give you permission to search 1 house, why am I going to give you permission to search 2 houses? So that's another story.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, well, we appreciate you, and hopefully something changes after this, because what we don't need to have happen is it turn out that somebody's not able to stand here and talk about what happened to them. And that's what we want to try to avoid. So thank you all so very much. Everybody take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.